special teams for me is everything.
He say, bro, I hate playing against you when you was in New York.
You know, we got some dynamic returners. Tantana, you were one while you were in the league.
Yeah. Very poised up there, very calm. He knows what he's doing.
I hope that he put all those ingredients into a gumbo and make it.
An exciting show as always for you, Commanders family. Sean Springs is back with us, this time diving deep into all things special teams. And speaking of special teams, I sat down with our new special teams coordinator, Larry Izzo, to talk about his championship-filled career. And we are ending the show with our guys' top QBs of all time.
Oh, I still got it.
You say you want the smoke.
I want it all.
You don't want it.
Hey, man, knock it off.
Hey, man, we got a show to do, and it all starts right now. Welcome into Command Center, presented by SeatGeek, the official primary ticketing partner of the Washington Commanders. Brian Cole Jr. here with Santana Moss, Fred Smoot, and we brought him back, Sean Springs. Yes, sir. Good to have you in the building, man. This is an interesting time right now, because it's like a little lull. It's a calm before the storm. And y'all been here before. Y'all had this little break right before things got real. Yeah. How did you guys enjoy your break? How'd you get the most out of it?
I mean, for the most part, I think when you first break, you don't want to really get too far away from what you've been doing.
Yeah.
So you're going to work out here and there, but then you're also going to have a little fun. I always like to, dab in a little bit in both of them, so I kind of played it close. But for the most part, man, I want to stay in tune with the, staying in shape so I can make sure that, when I do get that break, I don't have to worry about saying that now I got to recover and get back into where I was, just left off.
Well, I did a good job I stayed here year round. Yeah. So at this time, I would come in and out the building early, do the stuff I need to get done. Because right now, if you really want it, if you're a football player, once you get inside a month to go, ain't no break no more. Mm-hmm. Like you getting ready for training camp, getting yourself ready for the year, and trying to earn your job again. Mm-hmm. That's big.
Yeah, well, for me, it was all about, I didn't really want to be in the building because I knew we were going to be in the building a lot. But I would stay in shape. I would do my bikes and do all that different things. But that was the time, like, I was preparing for the season. What did I need? Like suits, clothes, spending time with the family and just kind of getting my mind right. Because I know once you commit to the season, you're in the season. Yeah.
And I'm a little surprised Fred ain't say he was walking barefoot in Jamaica during the break, man.
You have to be in tune with the earth. Yeah. But those times are over with a month to go. Like with a month to go, the vacation is over with, and I think everybody around the league feels that way.
Yeah. And like Fred said, football will be back in just a few weeks. Time for your can't miss moment, presented by FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official partner of the Washington Commanders. Commanders family, we cannot wait to have you out in Ashburn for this year's training camp. Here's a look at all of the open practices available for you to attend. It all kicks off July 28th, so be sure to get your tickets at commanders.com/training camp. You will not want to miss it. Me and the guys will be out on the field for some live shows. Fellas, training camp is almost here, and we will have the fans. We'll be live out there. Fred, this your time to shine right here.
Most definitely. Like, the one thing I love about it, the fans, they get to watch us play on Sundays, right? They get to watch the game itself, but they don't watch us at practice. Yeah. They don't watch us go against each other. They don't watch us dominate each other. They don't watch us compete against each other, and that's what training camp gives them, and that's why I love it.
And Fred, to your point, it's all about the competition in training camp. Since we're talking special teams, let's talk about the competition with special teams. Punt return, it's going to be a lot of things changing. Yeah. Who do y'all think? We've seen a few guys out there. We've seen Forbes, we've seen John. Who do y'all think will be returning punts this year?
I'm going to say Crowder. I think Crowder's one of those guys, he's here for that purpose. Last year, he surprised the whole staff by showing that, he still had a little more tread on those tires. So I see a guy that's hungry. He's a little older now. He's able to go out there and do some things just off of just the knowledge that he has for the game. So I see him as our primary guy at the punt return position.
And Tim, I'm gonna stick with you there because he came in and actually had almost, I think, 100 yards in one game as an actual receiver. Does that play a part in his all? That third receiver isn't really solidified. Would that keep him from returning those punts?
Not really, because you don't really have to be the third guy. He can be any one of those guys. I think they keep like 5 or 6 guys. So as long as he's one of those guys, but his primary position is that guy, because that's like I said before. He showed this staff, or not this particular staff, but the staff that was here last year, that, hey, I can be your guy. I can be that playmaker back here. Yeah. He has the playmaking ability. He's still, like I said, the knowledge of the game. When you have a veteran back there that knows when to catch the ball, know how to make the first man miss, you want those kind of guys back there. You don't want a guy back there just because of his skill set. You want a guy that can do those things, athletically, but also has the knowledge. So I I just see him as my favorite.
Yep. I see what Tanner's saying right there. But my guy that I want to throw in the loop is he's number one on your roster and number one in your heart, Jahan Dotson. I just think Dotson on a mission. Like, I've seen players come off of down years, and I've seen him push the refocus button. Tanner was talking to him in the hallway. He like, man, I've been in Miami for months. All right, so he's been back in the lab. He hears everything that everybody says. And what better way to show them I am him by going out and dominating that wide receiver, but also giving us some special team plays, saying I can do so much for this team if they just give me a chance to.
And Sean, one guy we saw, Emmanuel Forbes, that they haven't mentioned yet. What do you think he could do back there? I think people were surprised to see him back there.
Well, he's special with the ball in his hand, and I think you need that young hunger talent right there. When you see Emmanuel, he got it. He got, sometimes you can see punt returners like Crowder's a veteran. You know what he's going to do.
Yep.
Jahan Dotson is a receiver. He's exciting, but his primary focus might be the second receiver.
Yeah.
But Forbes, like, wait a minute, hold on. Wait a minute, I can do this too. They ain't
never seen me do it.
They ain't really seen me because I'm electrifying with the ball in my hand. And he has great ball skills, so it might be interesting to see just a little change up thrown him back there.
Yeah.
Never know.
And it's a little different with kick return, right?
Yeah.
It's a whole nother thing, especially now the rules are different.
Yeah.
We've heard them kind of talk about maybe a running back type of player being back there. Sean, I'm going to stick with you. Who do you think will be turning kicks for us?
Well, talking about it with these guys before, Rodriguez, we talked about the body style as much as with the new rule changes. We talk about what type of body style could we possibly fit that? And these guys convinced me that Rodriguez could be that guy.
Yeah, Chris would be one of those.
That you can throw back there and he'd be perfect fit because he knows how to read, hold, read the blocks, and make things happen.
Well, because of the new rules and the players can't take off until the guy catches the ball, they're starting at the 40, 50-yard line. Then, from talking to the coach, they were like, now the return teams are going to start to put counters in. They're going to start to put running back type plays back there. That's why I can't run away from the Chris Rodriguez. But also, we got some other guys in that depth chart that might make that team in the running back room because of the return game. So the thing about it is, expect the unexpected when it comes to the return game.
And either Rodriguez, he's a guy that I have high on the list just because knowing what we have in the backfield going, if you want to get him some touches, that can be a nice way. So that's why I would always say a guy like him. But you never know. I think anybody with that body type, you might have another guy that can play both receiver and running back that we really don't have a place for him. But guess what? We can put him back here now with this new rule change and the style and the way that they play in the kickoff return position.
And you talk about that hybrid running back. We saw Austin Eckler returning a few kicks as well. Another guy that has that skill set.
When you bring a dual guy in here, and we know he can do it on all three phases. He can catch the ball, he can block, pass, protect, and he can run the ball downhill. But it's only so many balls for him and him and Robinson. So this is a good way to get him some touches too. So I wouldn't count that one out.
And we talk about those new veterans. Well, we actually brought in some savvy veterans, some former Pro Bowlers that we kept in Trezway and Jeremy Reeves. Tanner, how important is it to have that veteran presence back, even though this is a whole new staff?
It's always good, man. I remember being a young pup in this league, and one of the things that I've always, used and keyed on to just get myself focused and understand what it took for me to be playing at a high level, whether it was a punt returner or receivers, watching the guys in front of me, watching the guys who do it, and who did it well. And to have a guy like Reeves, to have, Tress coming back, those are Pro Bowlers. Those are guys that have done it. That's where I'm trying to get to, if I'm a young guy in this league. So, and it's not only because those guys have done it before, that's the way they show every day in practice how to get the job done. Whether they get picked for a Pro Bowl and, each and every year, these guys show you that, guess what, I'm a Pro Bowl caliber player, the way they practice
and they team favorites. Trezway just gave his jersey to the rookies. Selfless. Jeremy Reed has been selfless since he's been here, and everybody loved the fact that he's back and he's healthy. These guys, they lift teams up.
And there's a lot of reasons to be excited about special teams, and a big part of that is Larry Izzo, our new special teams coordinator. Now, Tanner, real quick, you actually have some familiarity with Izzo, because you always played at the same time.
It was neat. I'm walking down in the cafeteria one day, I said, Izzo, what's up, man? And you can tell we all got hair on our face nowadays. So he looked at me. I was like, Minister Santana. He's like, oh, what's up, man? You here? So I'm like, we just had, I remember I was telling you guys a story earlier. I think it was my first couple of years here. I probably had been here 2 years by that time. And Izzo, I remember playing against him back when I was a Jet. And I had some moments, man. I had some key moments playing against the New England Patriots. I think it was one of my come-out parties that particular season. I was my second year, had a great game. I had a high ankle sprain, but I went out there and played lights out. Had 100-plus yards as a punt returner, and then I had a touchdown receiving. And next time I saw Izzo, I was a Redskin. He say, bro, I hate playing against you when you was in New York. So to see him here, man, I probably brought that story up to him. But he was one of those fierce competitors, man. He's one of those guys that when you saw him running down the field, whether it was a punt return or a kickoff team, get out of his way. Make sure they blocking him.
And I think that's the perfect intro to Larry Izzo. Let's take a look at his full resume. During his 14 seasons at linebacker, Izzo made a notable impact on special teams, playing for some legendary coaches in Jimmy Johnson and Bill Belichick. In 2011, he hung up his cleats and began his coaching career with the New York Giants. During his first season in New York, Izzo earned his 3rd Super Bowl title against his former Patriot team. And then after a pit stop in Houston, Izzo joined Dan Quinn in Seattle for the Legion of Boom, earning another Super Bowl ring. After 5 seasons with the Seahawks, Izzo reunited with DQ right here in Washington. Speaking of Super Bowls, as a player, you had a lot of accolades. Being All-Pro, you made a few Pro Bowls, you won 3 Super Bowls with the New England Patriots. During your time as a player, what did you learn, what did you gain that's helped you today as a coach?
Well, just, my playing career, played 14 years. Obviously, when I came in, I knew right away that special teams was going to be how I made the roster. And so I was able to carve out a role and then play for a long time. And so obviously, special teams for me is everything, and working with our roster, the young guys that we're going to have here, like we always tell them, like this special teams is going to be the easiest path to the roster. You can carve out a role there. So my playing career, that's what I learned was like special teams, that's how you eat. So I've treated it that way for a long time, and now as a coach, that's where it's at for me.
You talk about learning as a player during your player career. You got to learn with some really heavy hitters. Bill Belichick. What about them made you say, you know what, I want to be a coach?
I played for a lot of great coaches and worked for some. So, I came in the league with Jimmy Johnson was my coach.
Yes, sir.
Went up to New England, had Bill Belichick, played for Rex Ryan, and then I worked for Tom Coughlin, Pete Carroll. So I've been around great coaches, and I think I've taken a little bit from every one of them in terms of shaping kind of how I view things and my philosophy. And but to answer your question, what about my time in New England has helped me as a coach? I would say just my awareness and understanding of situational football. I think when you play up there in New England under Bill, you learn a great deal about just the game in general and situational football in every phase, and how really how special teams can factor into winning and losing games. So it was cool playing for him, and I'd like to think that I've taken a little bit, from those experiences, and it's helped me greatly as a coach.
Appreciate you sharing that, and clearly you made the right decision becoming a coach. Like I said, you won 3 Super Bowls with the Patriots, but then you go to the Giants as a coach. Yeah. And you win the Super Bowl against that Patriot team.
Oh, man.
I have to ask you, man, what was that like? Was it awkward? Was it crazy? Or was it exciting getting a chance to beat guys that you were so familiar with?
Well, it was all of those things. But it was my first year coaching. You go in, you don't really know what it's all about, and then you go and you win the Super Bowl your first year against your former team, where on the other sideline I got a lot of my old teammates playing for them. So it was awesome. Because in 2007, the year we're talking about, 2011 was, the year we won the Super Bowl with the Giants. But in 2007, 4 years prior, I was on the other side when the Giants beat us in the Super Bowl. So to be on the right side of it this time was awesome, obviously. And then it was a little bit, I remember the feeling of, the last play was a Hail Mary Tom Brady threw, and incomplete, and then so we all rushed on the field. We just won the Super Bowl in that play, and you're celebrating. But then I caught a glimpse of like some of my old teammates walking off the field with the dejected look of losing, obviously the Super Bowl. And so it was to understand both sides of the emotions that come into that game. It was pretty clear to me in terms of just the experience that I had there. So I was elated that we won it, but then I also was able to kind of see and have some compassion for the team that we beat, which was a lot of my old friends.
And having those moments where you're there, you're getting that direct view of everything going on. How does that affect you today as a head coach, right? You said you got to see not only the celebration, but you got to see the dejection of the other team. How does that play into the decision-making you make now and just the man you are today as a special teams coordinator?
Well, you want to win, right? I mean, that's what it's all about. We're here to win. And to get to that, we want to climb the mountain and get to that game. And then you want to win that game.
Yeah.
And so everything we do in the off season, every day we come to work, we're trying to get to that point. And you start the season at the bottom of the mountain, and every team is in the same position, and you just got to slowly climb that mountain, and hopefully we can get there to the top. And then, obviously, we're chasing those rings.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I think
that's what it's all about. So, as a coach, that's having been there, you know what it feels like. So, everything that leads to that is worth it. Once you get to that point, it's all worth it. And then, the worst feeling in the world is when you get to that point and you don't win.
Yes.
Obviously.
Right.
So everybody's chasing that. That's what we're trying to do.
A storied career already and looking to add a few more rings here in Washington. Fingers crossed. Now, some big updates for our special teams coordinator and his guys this offseason. Here's a look at the league's new kickoff rules. Now, there's a lot of them, but these are the ones we really want you to pay attention to. The kicker will kick off from the 35-yard line now. The kickoff team lines up on the opposing person's 40-yard line, and the return team lines up at their 35-yard line. You see it, no more fair catches. Touchbacks will be placed at the 35-yard line, so a lot of changes here. But is anybody ready for that challenge? It's Larry Izzo. Our guys have the best seat in the house, brought to you by SeatGeek. Your ticket to great Commander seats.
Thanks, BC, man. Fellas, we out here at practice right now. They're doing the special team periods right now. We're seeing the DBs, we're seeing the wide receivers, and we're seeing the kickoff team right now.
When you think about this defense, all the special teams are made up mostly of defensive players. Linebackers, DBs. These are the guys, if you not in that core 18 that Joe Witt talked about, this is a way to make the team. So focus here and get some things done.
One of the things I love watching when you see a good team, most of their key players are going through these drills right now. You know what I mean? And that shows you, the kind, I guess you can say the mindset from that coaching staff, showing like, look, you're not too good to be out here and be a part of this, this unit. So, those are the guys that set the tone. So when you see your number one or number two guy on the defense or offensive side, but mostly right now we're talking about defense, when you see them out here going through these drills, you have no choice but to step up and be in line as a young guy to try to make this squad because these guys can, put that pressure on you.
And I think, Santana, to that point, it makes a commitment. If you're willing to put your best players on special teams, we know that's a third of the game, right? That's important. And often the better teams that you usually see playing in the playoffs late in the year, they got a strong special teams unit.
Now, fellas, they're incorporating the new kickoff rule this year. How do y'all think that new kickoff rule is going to affect them, especially when the ball would be kicked, but the kicking team cannot start running until the ball is caught? Do you think it'll change it when it comes to kickoff return touchdowns? How do you think it'll phase the game?
I watched it in the XFL, and I was not for it when I first saw it. But as the year went on, that year when they was going through the motions right before it stopped, guys started breaking loose. And it was a challenge. And then, a good friend of mine, Torrey Woodbury, played with me in New York. He was the coach for the St. Louis team in the XFL at the time, and he was a special teams coach. I asked him, what are y'all doing to set this thing up enough for you to have success as the return team? And he said, man, it's all about having counters, doing different plays, almost like as if you in the offensive play.
It's an offensive play
backfield now. Finding guys, you're going to have guys on the line from the left side pulling, doing interchangeable things. So when I saw him tell me that and describe how detailed they were on that side of the ball to make sure that they found a way to do those things, it showed me a different picture of how
what it could be,
or how you can have success.
And it brings excitement back in the game because we saw the old kickoffs, they were kicking in the end zone and stuff like that. But now, guys, we got some dynamic returners. Tantana, you were one while you were in the league. I mean, these guys, you got to be able to bend your knees, tackle these guys because these guys get you in space. They can make some plays. You probably start to see some more running back type bodies.
What I was just about to say. I think the returners are now, they're going to put the bigger guys back there. You'll see running back 3, running back 2. They will be your returners because it's going to be one of those things where you need to break 1 or 2 tackles to actually get a kickout return and take it back.
And with that said, too, also we was talking about just
how deep we are now when it comes to the linebacker position.
Yeah.
Now some of these young guys who's not going to be probably used as the first or second guy as a linebackers, they're going to be making sure that they're on that kickoff team because they're going to be valuable assets, knowing that the style of play on the opposite side is just like being in the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
The running backs back there carrying the ball.
Yeah, most definitely. And then as I watched him go through some of these drills, what I do love is the tempo. And we was talking about earlier, the last couple of years, we could tell that the tempo just wasn't there.
Yeah.
The drills that they're doing and executing out here for special teams, one-on-ones, individual, they are drills that you can actually take onto the field with you and when the game starts.
And when you talk about tempo, but doing it the right way, if you think about how they got the guys set up, they're all playing with good leverage, keeping the ball inside. And special teams, we talk about these dynamic returners, but a lot of times it only takes one person to get out of their lane for a guy to hit the hole and realize that it's a long home run.
It's all about detail and being sound at what you got to do. Your responsibility. That's one of the things that people fail to realize when you're playing these positions, special teams wise. You have to stay home. You have to understand where's your line at on that field and make sure you're there and you handle it, because all it takes is one crease for a guy like myself to see it. Yeah. Whether it's backside, front side, if I smell it or see it, I'm gone.
Yeah, well, we loving it out here, man, but we're going to send it back to BC, man. Back to you.
Appreciate y'all, fellas. Always good to see you guys out on that field. And one person I know Commanders fans can't wait to see on that field is rookie offensive lineman Brandon Coleman. Brandon pulled up to the studio for Raising Hell with the Rookies to talk about building chemistry with Jaden Daniels. On rookie minicamp during the walkthroughs, we saw you lining up at left tackle. Yeah. I think a lot of fans would be very excited to see that because, when you have a new quarterback, you also want to pair him up with a dog at left tackle and even at right tackle as well. How cool has it been, being on that field with Jaden and building that chemistry, man? How cool has that been?
It's been great. I mean, Jaden's done a great job over the past couple of days. He's very poised up there, very calm. He knows what he's doing. He keeps the offense in line, and you've seen him make plays throughout this camp, and he'll continue to grow and make plays throughout the next couple of weeks and months and up until week 1. So I'm just excited to have a guy like that on the team and that he's able to compete and maybe be a starter for him. And I'm just excited that he's here and we're able to compete together.
Our rookie offensive lineman looking to make waves alongside rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels. Now, our senior staff writer, Zach Selby, has you covered with all the news you need to know this offseason, including more about the rookies. If you want to learn more about Brandon Coleman and this Commanders Grade A rookie class, head over to commanders.com. And speaking of this rookie class, quarterback Jaden Daniels handed out some grades of his own. That's right, the former Heisman winner shared his top 5 quarterbacks, and no surprise, the GOAT came in at number 1, followed by a few more legendary quarterbacks. Joe Montana, Patrick Mahomes, Peyton Manning, and that bad man, Michael Vick. Fellas, that was number 5's top 5. How y'all feel about that list?
I'm not mad with it. Yeah. I mean, one of the things about these lists when you ask individual players, it's his opinion.
It's personal.
It's his list. You know what I mean? So I can look at all those guys and say, and there's a ton of other guys that we probably liked growing up or played against that we can say that could probably fit on that list, but that's his individual list, so I'm okay with it.
I love the list because it shows that he has a high football IQ. Yep. That means he loves from the past as much as he loves the present. Like Joe Montana. Come on now, who don't like Joe Montana? Yeah. You talk about Tom Brady, that's the GOAT. Yeah. That's where you want to be. Mahomes is still active. That's the only active guy on this list. Come on, the Michael Vick experience. Yeah. Who don't like the Michael Vick experience? You've been there. And Peyton Manning, a.k.a. the Sheriff. Yeah. That's a good pedigree right there. Yeah. I like that list.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny because they all got different styles, but one I want to focus on is people like, what is Michael Vick doing up there? Most of these guys are just passers and they won Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Now, but Michael Vick changed the game. Yeah. I think we all agree he was ahead of his time.
He's like the Allen Iverson of our league, you know what I mean?
Mike was just special, man, because although people saw his fantastic runs and all the Michael Vick spinning and doing everything crazy, Mike had a cannon, man. Mike had an arm he could throw, so he could do it all. In today's game, Mike would be perfect for the RPO, run pass option offense, and what people are doing now.
I tell you what'll be perfect. If he just takes a little piece of all of their game and meshes in his pot. And if you look at it, he can throw the ball downfield. He's very intelligent. He can run like Michael Vick. So I'm not shocked that he picked those 5 guys. Like I said, I hope that he put all those ingredients into a gumbo and make it.
I think it made me believe that those are the guys that he probably studied the most. Yeah, you know what I mean? Most of the time when you have your favorite guys, those are the guys you're watching. So don't be surprised if you see a little bit of that all in this game.
Just give me the Tom Brady winning, though. Yeah. Tom Brady. If you're going to take one thing, if I had to take one thing for any of those quarterbacks, is the mentality of Tom Brady for me.
By any means necessary
Yeah.
is what you want. And that's what Tom would do. If Tom needed to throw the ball 3 times and they rush 40 times, that's what they'll do. So I think Tom's approach is what he needs to really take from that.
And fellas, Fred had mentioned the eras of football, right? Yeah. Patrick Mahomes, the only active player on that list, like Fred said. Is that surprising to you? Has Patrick Mahomes done enough? Because we're looking at those some heavy hitters on that list. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is still in this prime.
You got to give credit where it's due.
Yeah.
Pat Mahomes is
5 AFC
he's
championships,
that dude.
I think.
You know what I mean? He hit the ground running, and you got to look at it like if I'm a young guy coming to this league, I'm playing that position. Who else I'm looking at? I'm looking at the guy who just had the Super Bowl runs. What, 3 in the last 4 years? That's the guy. So why not? Why not give him a big up and tell him like you the guy I'm gonna pay homage to now?
He's playing in the era where he might play with the greatest quarterback of all time, Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. Most definitely.
And we can say that. And everybody up here might agree with that.
Yeah. And you're talking about quarterbacks. He compared himself to Lamar Jackson. Fred, you've been saying that all season.
Lamar Part 2.0. Yeah. I like that comp. I just think he's a better passer than Lamar was when he came into the league.
But I don't know. I got to see it because Lamar's a guy that came out of college, a great passer that wasn't allowed to do so much.
Wasn't asked to do.
Yeah. So and then you saw a little bit of it last year. He showed a little more of it. But I think he's one of those guys that you just gave him that kind of an offense. He can show you that he can do that as well.
Yep. Commanders family, that is it for us this week. However, next week we will be back with y'all for a special 4th of July show. We are putting Fred Smoot on the grill. We'll be outside chilling.
The Choco Champ.
Fred, what you cooking for us?
Everything.
Commanders family, see y'all next week.
Join me as I take a deep dive into the least insulted ticketing app in history, SeatGeek. Did SeatGeek invent the ticket?
No, but we do make them work.
Drum roll, please. Ooh, how do I use the Seat View feature?
It shows seats with a pole blocking the view. Don't buy those.
What if I want to sit behind a pole?
Buy those.
Join me as I bore you to death with a series of interviews about a ticketing app that just does what it's supposed to do.